Millionaire. Jack Preston panics after learning his black homeless son ran away. It was just past midnight when the news hit like a thunderclap. Jack Preston, billionaire tycoon and headline magnet for every scandal under the sun, sat frozen in his sleek New York penthouse. The city's glow spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, but inside, everything darkened. His phone buzzed again. This time, the headline flashing on every screen screamed a nightmare. A young black man, shot by Jack's own security team, sparked a firestorm that set the country ablaze. The kid was dead, or worse, barely alive. And now the truth? He was the son of a homeless man Jack had walked past, ignored, maybe dozens of times. Jack's heart tightened, a cold lump settling deep in his throat. Shame, disbelief, panic, a storm ripping through his mind. He'd been so removed from this kid's world, so wrapped in power and fortune. Protesters marched beneath his iron gate, voices raw with anger. They held signs demanding justice, shouting into the chill night air, while flashing cámaras cotaban every sharpo glance sacado por debajo de los tintes ojos. Jack's assistant sombraba de pelito vendo, voz local. Sir, people want answers. Jack could barely look. His hands trembled on marble. I need to know everything, he whispered, barely holding together. Meanwhile, miles away, Malik, ragged, eyes wide with hurt, sat huddled beneath a broken street lamp, the cold biting into his skin. Breaking out of shadows, Malik had fled a lifetime, built on neglect and hardship. The boy who ran from the homeless shelters, from the worn-down neighborhood that spat him out, had no clue who he really was. Until now. The police reports, the media stories, all painted him a menace or victim, but none told the real tale. Malik's phone vibrated. A text. One message that promised to rip apart every piece of the past he thought he left behind. His chest tightened. Should he open it? Face a truth so sharp it might shatter every hope for a fresh start? Back at Preston's estate, the mansion trembled beneath the weight of the crowd chanting outside. Jack paced, the walls a silent judge, his mind racing. How did his entire world tip over because of a boy he never knew? His money, his power, all seemed hollow. The faces of the protesters blurred, but their demands were clear. Accountability, justice, change. He swallowed hard. The privilege, the blind spots, it all crashed down like thunder, leaving him raw and exposed. Jack's assistant cleared her throat. What's the plan? The media won't wait. Jack stared out into the morning that hadn't yet come, heart pounding. Could he take the leap? Own what happened? Use his empire to fix a world he helped ignore? Or would he hide behind silence and stone walls, letting history decide the answer for him? Malik's phone buzzed again. The message glowed, sinister and bright. An invitation or a trap. In the dark, both men stood at the edge of something vast and unknown. Two lives tangled in chaos. Two futures hanging by a thread. and the city, restless and unforgiving, waited. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Malik's hands were shaking. The glow of his phone lit up his face, the message staring back at him like a challenge. The cold seeped deeper into his bones as he scrolled. His breath caught as he read, "I know who you really are. Meet me at the old park at dawn." Panic surged, twisting knots in his stomach. Who sent this? How did they know? Across the city, Jack stared out into the dark horizon, his mind a whirlwind. "I need to know everything," he had whispered. But here he was, drowning in questions. The city roared outside, but inside, silence pressed down like a weight. His assistant's voice broke through the haze. "Sir, this could be our chance." Then it happened. A loud crash from below. The window rattled as a loud explosion shook the ground, sending shards of glass cascading like rain. His instincts kicked in. What was that? Jack's heart raced as he bolted to the window. The streets below already aflame. Flames danced, flickering like angry spirits, and the crowd surged back in panic, the air thick with screams. This was no protest gone wrong. This was chaos unleashed. "Sir, we need to evacuate," his assistant urged, pulling him away from the spectacle. But he couldn't look away. Was this about him? About Malik? Then he saw it, a figure leaping from the shadows towards the flames, a glint of something metallic in their hand. "No!" Jack yelled, instinctively rushing towards the door, but fear pinned him down. What if it was Malik? Meanwhile, Malik was already on the move, the chaos igniting something fierce inside him. Could this be the chance to reclaim his life? The darkness of the night blurred around him as he pushed past terrified faces. Firelight flickered, illuminating the fear and anger in the crowd. People shouted, some recording on their phones, others yelling for help. He felt alive amid it all. His phone buzzed again, another message, this time with a photo attached. He opened it, and his eyes widened. An old newspaper clipping. A forgotten headline screamed back at him. Billionaire's son went missing in charity fire. The boy in the photo was a ghost from his past, lost to years of neglect. A brother he had never known. Heart racing, Malik stumbled back. This was not just any secret. This was his secret. Jack Preston wasn't just a distant figure in his life. He was connected to his own blood. Jack's face twisted in disbelief as he realized the connection. Could Malik be? The city crackled around him, each spark from the fire bursting like the realization that threatened to explode everything he thought he knew. "Sir," his assistant shouted, dragging him out of the trance. "We're going. But Jack hesitated, watching the frantic scene unfold. Malik's desperate escape was intertwined with his own choices from years ago. Could he change his fate? Who was Malik really? With flaring sirens growing louder and the sky glowing ominously, both men stood on the brink of revelation, their paths colliding in the most unexpected way. And dawn approached, ready to unveil the truth lurking in shadows and flames. Would they seek each other out? Would they find safety, or be consumed by a fire ignited by secrets long buried? The city waited, breath held, as destiny spun on the edge of chaos. Malik stood beneath the street lamp, heart racing as he battled the inner storm. The vibrations from his phone grew louder in the chilly air. Should he look? Should he dive back into the chaos of his past? Every muscle in his body was tense, frozen between fear and curiosity. With trembling fingers, he swiped the screen. The glowing message cut through the darkness. "We need to talk. Meet me at the old diner at 2 a.m. I know the truth about your father." Malik's breath hitched. His father? The man he thought had vanished, leaving him with an empty void. The shared surname echoed in his mind like a haunting reminder of what could have been. Was it truly possible? Questions spiraled out of control. Was this a lifeline or a trap? Back in the penthouse, Jack felt the heaviness of the night pressing down on him. His assistant's eyes burned with expectation. "Mr. Preston, we can't delay a statement. The press will start tearing at us any moment." Jack ran a hand through his hair, anxiety crawling under his skin. He had spent years denying the implications of his success. Where wealth came from, who paid the price. Now, reality hit like a wrecking ball. "I can't just ignore this," he hissed, pounding a fist against the marble. The sound rang out, stark in the silence. This is about a life. But then, as if summoned by the tension, the power flickered, and the room plunged into darkness. The protests outside roared, louder, voices swelling in a feverish crescendo. The shadows danced across the walls, and Jack's pulse quickened. What if the chaos outside had a hand in the darkness that now enveloped him? Suddenly, an explosion of sound erupted. A loud crash came from the front of his estate. Glass shattered. Screams filled the air, and something in him snapped. Jack rushed to the window, heart pounding. What he saw sent shockwaves through his core. The crowd had broken through, torches in hand, faces wild with rage. But then, something else caught his eye. A figure moving through the chaos, stepping into the shadows. Jack squinted. It couldn't be Malik? The urgency flooded him. This was the boy, the son, tied to the very horror, now sweeping through his life. "Sir," shouted his assistant, pulling him back. "We need to secure you. We can't expose you out there." Jack hesitated, caught between his fear for his safety and the connection he felt with the boy outside. A bond forged in shared neglect and society's abandon. "No," he said, determination burning. "This is bigger than me." He opened the door just as another scream erupted from the crowd, followed by a gunshot. The sound shattered the air like a cruel whisper, and the crowd surged toward the noise. Jack's heart pounded. He couldn't just watch. He sprinted down the staircase, the world outside drawing him in. Malik saw the chaos explode beyond the street lamp, spiraling into a scene of havoc. Unfamiliar faces clashed with twisted anger, and the cold bite of fear shot through him. He stumbled back, the weight of his father's name settling on his shoulders. Then a figure broke through the tumult. The silhouette of Jack Preston emerged, moving towards him with a fierce resolve that sent waves of confusion crashing over Malik. What was he doing here? The man seen as a distant giant was now fighting his way through the throng. "Malik!" Jack's voice rang out, desperate. What was happening? Both men surged forward, caught in a moment, frozen in chaos. But then, the deafening roar of a siren screamed into the night, and amidst the turmoil, a shocking realization hit them both. The truth, buried deep underneath their shared history, was far darker than either could have imagined. As the sirens wailed and shadows loomed larger, both Jack and Malik faced an uncertain future. Secrets waiting in the wings to unravel everything they thought they knew. The city pulsed with rage, while the two stood on the edge of something monumental, hearts racing, breaths mingling with the cries of the night, unaware of the storm ready to break. Malik stood frozen as Jack yelled his name, the chaos swirling around them. Time felt stretched, every heartbeat amplified in his ears. The flames flickered, casting wild shadows that danced with fear and hope. He wanted to turn and flee, but something in Jack's voice rooted him to the spot. There was desperation there, something Malik had never seen before in this man. The crowd surged again, a wave of bodies pushing against Malik's skin, and he felt the air burst from his lungs. Jack's eyes locked onto his, and for a split second, they were connected by more than just fate. There was a shared pain, a heavy weight of unspoken words and missed chances. "Come on!" Jack urged, reaching out a hand. Lightning crackled in the distance, and a loud bang echoed, shaking the ground. Malik stumbled back, a fresh wave of panic squeezing his chest like a vice. This wasn't the crowd he wanted to face, but everything felt like it was falling apart. But Jack wouldn't let go. He lunged forward, grabbing Malik's arm and pulling him deeper into the chaos. "We need to get out of here!" Then, another explosion rocked the street. The bright flash illuminated the night as glass rained down like shooting stars. Malik shielded his eyes, the heat brushing against his skin. He could feel Jack's hand gripping him like a lifeline. "Look out!" a voice screamed, and Malik turned just in time to see a man fall into the crowd, blood spilling on the pavement. Screams erupted, splitting through the noise, and Malik turned white. Instinct kicked in. "We have to go, now!" But just as they turned around, the shadows shifted. A figure emerged from the smoke. Tall and menacing, a dark silhouette brandished a weapon. Hands trembled as the crowd screamed, scattering like shattered glass. "Get down!" Jack shouted, pulling Malik low to the ground. They ducked behind a car, hearts pounding against their chests. Malik's mind raced, firelight reflecting off Jack's face, illuminating the fear. In that moment, the air changed. A figure stepped closer, face obscured by the flames, but something was familiar. "Jack!" the figure shouted, and Malik's breath caught in his throat. The voice was unmistakably familiar. His heart slammed against his ribcage. "Stop! Stop right there," Jack bellowed in anger. "What do you want?" The figure stepped into the light, and the hairs on the back of Malik's neck stood up. The revelation struck like a bolt of lightning. It was him, his brother, the one from the newspaper clipping, the one who had vanished years ago. "Mason?" Malik gasped, staring at the ghost from his past. A brother he never knew he needed. Everything shifted around them, the chaos fading in importance. Mason looked weathered and broken, eyes wild but filled with an awareness that sent a thrill through Malik. "Malik, you need to listen," Mason began, voice hoarse. But the moment was shattered by the sound of another gunshot. The crowd erupted into further panic. A wave of bodies crashing into one another, fighting for escape. Jack's eyes darted from Malik to Mason, realization dawning. This secret was bigger than them, deeper than bloodlines. "Why are you here?" Jack shouted. But Mason's eyes were locked on Malik, desperation breaking through. "Because you need to know the truth about us," Mason yelled, voice desperate. "It's not just about your past. It's about why the world is burning now." Before Malik could speak, the ground shook again, louder this time. A voice from the sky heralding impending doom. A chopper whirled above, searching. Spotlight blazing through the smoke, illuminating Mason's face for just a heartbeat. And in that moment, a stunning truth cracked through the air. Malik understood. The chaos was just beginning, and everything he thought about this night, about Jack, about "What the hell does that even mean?" Jack queried, panic swirling in his eyes. But before anyone could respond, the loud crack of another explosion ripped through the sky, turning night into day. Malik flinched, heat washing over him. They were running out of time. There was a molten truth ready to explode, waiting to unravel every thread connecting them. Would they survive the night? Would answers bury them all, or set them free? Malik's phone buzzed again. The glow of the screen illuminated the shadows around him. He hesitated, fingers hovering above the text. It was a name, Marissa, his mother's name. But she wasn't supposed to contact him. Not after everything. Not after abandoning him to this cold world. Heart pounding, he opened the message. "I know where you are. They're cunning for you. Trust me." His mind raced. Who was coming? Adrenaline coursed through him. His past, the pain, the neglect, it all clawed at him, pulling him back. What did she want now? Hadn't she already ruined enough of his life? At that moment, a loud crash echoed through the streets. Malik flinched, looking up. A young protester had thrown a rock, shattering a window of the estate nearby. The sound sent a jolt through the crowd, rippling through the tension like electricity. Yells erupted, filling the night air. "Justice!" they screamed, fists raised, banners flying, a wave of emotion swelling like a tsunami. Jack's heart raced as he heard the chaos outside. Instinctively, he moved to the balcony, where he could see the sea of people below. Anger and desperation painted their faces. But something else stirred beneath the surface. A deep, collective pain. He felt it, gnawing at him, threatening to pull him down into that crowd. His assistant stood behind him, her expression tense, eyes darting between the chaos and the restless billionaire. "Sir, we need to address this now," she urged. But Jack's gaze remained fixed on the scene unfolding before him. Suddenly, a loud scream pierced through the noise. A gunshot rang out. Another! Gasps traveled through the crowd like wildfire. Bodies surged back, fear gripping hearts. Malik dropped his phone, eyes wide with shock, heart in his throat. The world spun as people ran in every direction. But then, from the smoke and panic, emerged a figure. Malik recognized him instantly. It was his childhood friend, Luca, a shining light in a life full of shadows. But Luca wasn't alone. He was dragging a man behind him, unconscious and bleeding. Malik's breath caught. It was a security officer, one of the very men who had shot at him earlier. The air crackled with a new tension. A truth darker than the night settled heavy in Malik's chest. Jack's security had been acting as judge and executioner, and now the victim was tied to a moment Malik couldn't comprehend. Had he somehow brought this upon them? Jack's heart plummeted as he saw the commotion. He realized that this man, this officer, was not just a victim of circumstance. He was the key that could unlock everything. One truth stood glaring in the spotlight. The man was his cousin, estranged but very much part of his world. The fabric of Jack's carefully constructed life began to unravel. "What? That can't be," his voice cracked. It wasn't just chaos outside. It churned inside him too, a storm of emotions colliding. Guilt, anger, confusion. Malik stood trembling, a wave of recognition washing over him as he caught Jack's eye through the chaos. The two worlds collided in that moment. Two paths crossed by fate, leaving threads of their stories tangled in ways neither could yet understand. And then, as if the universe had decided to take another turn, another shot fired, this time aimed at Malik. He ducked instinctively, fear gripping his gut, not for himself, but for the future that suddenly seemed as precarious as a dream on the verge of shattering. In that split second, everything shifted. Questions hung heavy in the air. Who were they really? What were they willing to sacrifice? The city waited, restless and unforgiving, while their lives teetered on the brink of a newfound chaos. Malik's heart raced, fingers hovering over the phone screen. Should he open it? Fear wrapped around him like a cold blanket, the city's chaos fading into a distant murmur. Finally, he pressed his thumb to the message, the screen lighting up the darkness. "Meet me at the park. Midnight. I know the truth about your dad." The words churned in his gut, truth and dread warring inside him. Who could this be? How did they know? A surge of adrenaline mixed with anxiety pushed him into action. He stood, shaking off the weight of sitting still. Meanwhile, in Jack's penthouse, the assistant watched Jack pace. The tension hung heavy, the air thick with expectations. Jack knew the world was watching. He took a deep breath, staring at his reflection in the glass, a man torn between his past and a future he didn't want to confront. "Sir, The assistant prompted again, her voice clipped with urgency. "We need a statement." Before Jack could reply, his phone buzzed. A text from his PR team. "Protesters are angry, sir. They're gaining momentum. We can't let this escalate." Jack felt his throat tighten. He glanced at the window, the crowd below, angry, demanding change. But before he could process it all, a loud crash erupted outside, shattering glass and shrieking through the air. The protesters surged forward. A wave of bodies breaking through barriers, tipping the balance. Jack's heart lurched. What's happening? The assistant turned pale. Security's been breached. With each moment, panic gripped his chest. He turned to escape, but the door swung open before him. A figure stumbled in, haggard, wild-eyed, and frantic. It was Malik. "What are you doing here?" Jack's voice cracked as disbelief coursed through him. Malik looked around in utter confusion, those youthful eyes filled with a mixture of challenging anger and raw hurt. "You have to listen. You don't know what's happening." The roar from outside grew louder, drowning their voices in chaos. Jack's neatly structured world began to crumble. "I'm trying to... Stop! Just stop! They're not just after you. They want to know the truth, Jack." "What truth?" Jack's frustration bubbled over. "What do you know that I don't?" Before Malik could respond, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. Panic quickened like wildfire, screams reverberating from outside. A siren wailed, piercing the silence. Then a voice boomed through a megaphone. "We know what you did! We know!" Jack's pulse quickened as he felt the tectonic shift beneath his feet. "What do they mean?" "Your secret, Jack. The real story about your past." Malik's words came rushing out, each syllable layered with urgency. "You're not who they think you are. None of us are." The ground felt unsteady as Jack's mind raced. What could possibly connect Malik to him? How could his life unravel so quickly? There was more. He could sense it, an impending revelation lurking just beyond reach. Then a blinding flash illuminated their surroundings. A flare shot up from outside, momentarily lighting the sky. In that instant, Malik's eyes were filled with something Jack hadn't noticed before. Recognition, familiarity. His breath caught in his throat. Could Malik know something about his family? About his own origins? Silence enveloped the room as the revelation hung in the air. Every heartbeat echoed like a drum. The truth, raw and unformed, twined them tighter, the past creeping closer, dragging them both into an unsettling new reality. And as the crowd surged and the sirens blared, Jack realized that the fight for answers was only just beginning. The shadows of their intertwined lives loomed larger, promises of unexpected revelations waiting to be unveiled. In the chaos, he stepped closer to Malik, their futures shifting like sand. The grip of fate tightened around them both. What had been unthinkable moments before now demanded to be faced. "Tell me," Jack urged, his voice tinged with desperation. "What do you know?" But before Malik could answer, a gunshot rang out from the depths of the mob, freezing them both in time. The world held its breath. Malik's phone buzzed again, the light flickering in the dark, and he hesitated. The truth trembled on the edge of choice, a razor's thin line between hope and despair. He locked eyes with the message. Every word felt like a blade ready to cut through his past, through his pain. It was an invitation, to a meeting. He swallowed hard. Who could want to see him? He had nothing to offer. Meanwhile, Jack Preston's world teetered, and the noise outside pushed him into a spiraling darkness. Voices surged like an angry tide, demanding change, justice, accountability. Jack felt each shout reverberate in his gut. The city breathed anger, and he was trapped inside these walls, feeling smaller by the second. His heart raced. Could he really step into the light? What would he say to the world, to Malik's father? If he ever met him? Would it matter? Doubt clawed at him fiercely. His assistant's voice broke through his thoughts. "Sir, we need to formulate a response," she urged again, glancing nervously toward the door that vibrated with the crowd's shouts. But Jack had barely heard her. His mind was elsewhere, pulled by the weight of expectation, the weight of what he had done. The phone buzzed in his pocket. He fumbled it out, but his hand wouldn't stop shaking. A text from an unexpected sender, a close friend, a powerful ally. Jack opened it, and his breath caught. "We need to talk. Now. Urgent." The message was followed by a link to a news article. Jack's heart thudded in his chest as he clicked it open. His blood ran cold. The headline blared. "Billionaire's shady past, ties to organized crime exposed." Suddenly, the comfortable world he had known crumbled as a series of images filled the screen. Photos of parties, clandestine meetings, and faces he recognized but didn't want to. Faces tied to deals he thought buried long ago. With every word he read, Jack's mind spiraled. Blackmail, conspiracy, illegal dealings, all unveiled in a way that felt personal. One sentence sliced deeper than the rest. Preston's wealth is built on a foundation of deception, endangering the very communities he exploits. Across the city, Malik's palms were clammy as he tore his attention from his phone. He had opened the message, and panic twisted inside him. The truth the text carried sent a shockwave through his system. "Meet me at the corner of 42nd and Elm. And I have something you need to see about your past. It's about your birth mother." He staggered back, the weight of that single line pressing down on him. Birth mother. He had run away from the stories of his origins, but they surged forward now, fierce and relentless. In the penthouse, Jack stumbled back, breathless, the world outside crashing against his walls. Did Malik's father know about the dark corners of his life? As if sensing him, Malik stood on the edge of change, unaware of his connection to Jack's empire, a world that would stop at nothing to keep its secrets hidden. Malik hitched his breath and made his choice. He was done running. Back at the estate, reality closed in on Jack. A storm brewing, and he wouldn't escape this one unscathed. With the city's fury at his door, and Malik on the brink of awakening his past, paths were about to collide in a way that neither could have ever anticipated. They were about to see that truth could either bind them together or tear them apart forever. The city held its breath, waiting for the thunder to strike. Malik's heart hammered in his chest as he held Jack's gaze. The impending chaos outside scratched at the edges of his mind, but the moment felt larger than just survival. It was about truth, about facing the essence of who they were. They stood on a precipice, emotions pouring out, but the tension rising between them was electric. "Tell me," Jack pressed, urgency marking his tone. Opened his mouth, words poised on his lips, but before he could speak, a thunderous explosion rocked the building. The walls shuttered violently, glass shattered with a deafening crash, cascading around them like rain. Malik and Jack instinctively ducked, bracing for whatever followed. Once the dust settled, a shrill scream sliced through the air, breaking the tension. The world outside erupted in madness. Fire illuminated the night sky. Shah! Malik felt panic surge within him, the familiar taste of fear flooding his senses. But then, silence. As if time had shifted. The chaos momentarily faded into the background, leaving only the two of them. Malik's eyes darted back to Jack, both surprised and horrified, caught in an unspoken bond forged from trauma. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. And just then, out of nowhere, a figure emerged behind Jack, silhouetted against the flashing lights of the chaos. Malik's breath caught again, a cold knot tightening in his throat. "It can't be!" he whispered. The figure stepped closer, revealing a face he recognized immediately. A woman from his childhood, a ghost of a past he desperately wanted to forget. It was Marissa, his mother. "Malik!" she cried, voice cracking, panic etched into every line of her face. "You need to come with me now!" Jack turned, confusion morphing into anger. "Who the hell are you?" But Marissa ignored him, her eyes locked onto Malik. "They know everything! We're not safe here. You have to trust me." Her words rang hollow. Memories of abandonment surged forward, painful and raw. He had spent years building walls against her, shielding himself from the hurt. "Why should I trust you now?" "Listen, it's not just about you, it's about your brother," she shouted. A stunned silence enveloped them. Malik felt the world spin. Brother? The word echoed in his mind. He'd spent years alone, and now his mother was dragging an unknown sibling into the chaos. Confusion choked him. Everything he thought he knew about his life fractured in that instant. "What are you talking about?" Malik spat, fists clenched, but Marissa was relentless. "Your father, he's not who you think he is. He's tied up in this, and he's coming for you." Jack intervened, stepping between them. "Back off! What are you saying?" The tension escalated, as if both men pulled from different sides of a taut string. Malik could barely breathe. "Your father," Marissa continued, trembling. "He made deals that put you all in danger. When you were born, everything changed. We tried to escape, but it wasn't enough." The enormity of her words hit hard, sending vibrations through Malik's bones. The past was a beast he could not outrun. "Stop! It's not true! You don't know him! You don't know me!" Jack exclaimed, desperation creeping into his voice. "Do you really think you're safe?" Marissa challenged Jack, anger unraveling her voice. "This isn't just a protest. It's a reckoning." Before Malik could process the implications of what she had said, a buzz cut through the confusion, his phone vibrating violently again. Through the chaos outside, another figure appeared, stepping into the light. A man, tall and confident, dressed in dark clothes. It was Mason. "Enough!" Mason shouted, voice booming over the crowd. Everything froze again, as if the air itself was holding its breath. "I'm here to settle this. Once and for all." Everyone's eyes turned toward him, waiting for answers. Jack felt his heart race. The stakes had just been raised in ways he couldn't foresee. Then, in an instant, everything shattered. A loud gunshot rang out from within the crowd, chaos reigniting. Smoke filled the air, and screams erupted as bodies surged away. Malik gasped, heart pounding wildly as his world flipped once more. "Run!" Jack shouted, panic spilling from his voice. Malik, look at them, all of them, his mother, Mason, Jack. Everything he thought he knew was collapsing. But this felt different. They were not just tied by circumstance, they were tangled in a horrific truth that threatened to consume them all. And as the chaos crashed over them like tidal waves, one thought echoed in Malik's mind. You can never really run from your past. Malik felt the heat of the chaos around him. The gunshot echoed, the crowd erupted again, the world shifting beneath his feet. Jack's eyes darted, adrenaline pumping, but Malik shook his head, trying to focus. "Listen!" Malik shouted, his voice barely rising above the panic. "We can't stay here!" Jack nodded, but before they could move, a horrifying wail cut through the night. It shattered the air like glass, making them both turn to where the sound came from. Mason stumbled, falling to the ground. A gunshot had grazed his arm, blood pooling dark against the concrete. "Mason!" Malik cried, rushing toward him, but Jack grabbed his arm. "Stay back, we can't risk it." But Malik yanked free. He needs help. He ran towards Mason, heart hammering, and slid to the ground beside him. Mason's face twisted in pain, eyes wide with fear. "Get me out of here," he gasped, breathing heavily. "They're looking for you." "What do you mean? Who?" Malik's voice trembled, urgency making his head spin. The crowd pushed and pulled, chaos reigning as people screamed and ran. From behind, he felt the heat of the fire drawing closer. Jack kept his distance, fear flashing in his eyes, unsure of how to react. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was a woman, catching everyone's attention. Dressed in black, her hair wild and eyes glimmering with fury, she pointed right at Jack. You have to answer for what you've done." Everyone froze, uncertainty thickening the air. Malik squinted against the glare of flames behind her, the firelight casting eerie shadows. "Who are you?" "I'm someone who knows the truth," she yelled, stepping forward, heart racing, fear spilling over every word. "Enough of this," Jack shouted, holding up his hands defensively. "You don't know anything about me." "Oh, don't I?" she shot back, voice sharp as a whip, the memories of horror seeping through her words. "You think you can bury your past? You're living on borrowed time." Jackson's expression shifted, color draining. "What are you talking about?" He took a step back, trembling. As the woman opened her mouth to respond, Malik felt a strange buzz in his pocket. His phone again. He whipped it out, glancing down. The message burned into his retinas. "Malik, I know where your father is, and he's been looking for you." His heart stopped. "What? My father?" But before he could process it, the woman's face turned to Malik, raw emotion flaring. "That's not all! Your father is Jack's brother!" Stunned silence enveloped them as gasps erupted from the crowd. Jack's eyes widened, disbelief rushing across his features. "That can't be true! No!" Mason grunted, holding his arm, the truth piercing through the haze. "It is. All of this. The chaos. It's about blood. Malik's mind spun. The walls seemed to close around him. The heat of the fire drawing dangerously close. So, we're family? Half-brothers, the woman replied. He abandoned you, left you to a life of misery. Malik's breath caught in his throat. Everything spun wildly. Jack was not just a billionaire. He was woven into the very fabric of Malik's pain. A secret threaded through time and betrayal. As Malik stared, Jack fell back against the wall, hands on his head, the weight of truth crashing down. This can't be happening. But before anyone could speak, the world exploded again, not with words, but with sound. A massive crash erupted from inside the penthouse. The building trembled violently, shaking with an ominous growl, the ground vibrating beneath them like a living beast. "Run, now!" Jack yelled, panic lacing his voice. But Malik didn't move, rooted to the spot by the revelation and the danger surging toward them. Everything he thought he knew twisted into an unimaginable truth. The night was far from over. Desperation clawed at his throat, and chaos roared around them as the ground shook again. The fire blazed dangerously close, and in that moment, the world held its breath, waiting for the next painful truth to unravel. Would they survive? Would family ties bind them or destroy them? The firelight flickered, shadows danced, and the city held its breath. Poised on the edge of a cataclysm, Malik's heart raced. The air was thick with chaos, screams echoing around him, but all he could focus on was the staggering truth unveiled moments before. Jack, his half-brother, who had lived in a world of privilege while Malik endured pain and neglect. The flames roared behind them, angry whispers rising as if the city itself were responding to their unmasking. "Mason!" Malik shouted, rushing back to his brother, who lay vulnerable on the ground. "We have to get out of here!" Mason winced, clenching his wound, the weight of their family's past spilling forth. "Malik!" Jack called, dread pooling in his eyes. "This isn't the time to panic." "Then what is it, Jack?" Malik snapped, shadows dancing across his face. "What do we do about the truth?" But Jack's face flickered between anger, confusion, and sudden clarity. "We survive. Together!" The woman in black stepped forward, urgency etched into her expression. "Your family is intertwined in this mess, but it goes deeper than you know. You have a legacy to confront." Malik took a deep breath, trying to ground himself in the madness. "No more secrets. No more lies. I want answers." As they stood together, the ground rattled violently beneath them. Outside, the crowd roared back, driven by rage and desperation. People pushed, some shouting for justice, others for escape. ... Malik felt the breath leave his lungs. "Run!" Mason yelled, adrenaline fueling his movements. A sudden pressure surged through Malik's body, propelling him forward. Jack grabbed Malik's arm, and together they darted into the chaos. The crowd was a blur of faces, fear, anger, confusion. Malik squeezed through, heart pounding as they followed Mason. People surged in every direction, a living river of emotion, determined to break free. "This way!" Mason urged, leading them toward an alley, moments from collapsing under the weight of the firestorm behind them. With each step, Malik's fears intertwined with determination. The city had already become a battleground, but they were intertwined by something deeper than blood. They were bound by the shadows of their history, the truth growing heavier with every second. "Where to now?" Malik shouted over the din, his voice barely breaking through the chaos. Mason glanced back, urgency lighting his gaze. "A safe house, just outside the city. From there, we can plan our next steps." Jack's expression turned stone cold, a mix of disbelief and anger simmering beneath the surface. But their shared connection was undeniable now. "After tonight, nothing will be the same," he whispered, almost to himself. "We need to take responsibility." Malik felt the weight of his words. Could it be so simple? Responsibility? He was tired of running and hiding from the truth. The stakes were higher now, and he wouldn't turn back. As they reached the end of the alley, sirens wailed behind them, the air thick with smoke and panic. Malik glanced back at the chaos that had erupted behind them. Shadows of pain, anger, and fear swirling into the night sky. "Trust each other, family," the woman echoed, her voice almost lost in the roar. Together, they crossed into the unknown, hearts racing. Malik took a final look back, and for the first time, he felt hope bubbling deep inside. A new dawn awaited, an uncertain future filled with potential. And just like that, as they stepped into the shadows, they forged ahead, united by blood, driven by truth. But wait, before you move on, look at the screen now. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to fuel the algorithm and let everyone know you love this tale. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about what happens next. And don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Let's keep this community growing strong.